Hi there and welcome to this Lunch and Learn. In today's topic, we are talking about customer service and in particular, improving the level of customer service in your practice. Let's go. Now, I think we all know what customer service is, but we'll go through a bit of an explanation just to get the ball rolling. Customer service is the direct one-on-one interaction between your patient purchasing or using your services and the representatives of the practice that are selling and delivering those services. And so it is the interaction between all of us, the receptionist, dental assistant, dentist, hygienist, all of the people that are involved in the dental practice in communications with patients or creating an experience for the patients. And so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about customer service. And after a bit of research and contemplating it for a number of years, I've come up with 4 levels of customer service. I want to take you through each one of those. Number 1, level, most basic, unacceptable customer service. Now, when you think about maybe experiences that you've had at a restaurant or a hairdresser or at a B&B, wherever you can buy products and services, we all know what unacceptable service feels like. And what it feels like is that we are so upset by the complete lack of care and attention to us as the purchaser, us as the patient, us as the consumer, that we will intentionally go out and try to leave a bad negative Google review about this service. Or we ring up afterwards and say, I demand to speak with your manager. So we are so upset because of this very unacceptable customer service directed at us that we feel like we want to do something about it. At the very least, we do share amongst friends and family. Don't ever use that product. Don't ever use that service. They are atrocious. And so that's what unacceptable customer service looks like. I don't think this happens on a regular basis in dental surgeries, fingers crossed. The next level, the second level of customer service is basic customer service. Now, basic customer service is the type of service that leaves us kind of, a little bit cold, a little bit chilled. We're not terribly happy with it. We wouldn't return because that service was so great. But we're not so upset that we are going to be leaving bad Google reviews. And so the way I describe basic customer service is that you've got somebody there delivering this standard of service, but as an employer or as a manager of that particular dental practice, if they're the ones delivering basic customer service, this person really is just getting over the line of helping you out. They're helping you out with your one thing, your one purchase, your one query, and that's it. We really don't have a high level of care around whether that customer is really satisfied or not, but we also don't want to be fired. And so we're just delivering the raw basics. The care factor is pretty low though. And if you're a manager or a business owner, you would be looking at that employee and thinking, gosh, in an ideal world, I'd replace that person with somebody with a better attitude. But with the unacceptable level of customer service, that's where the business owner or the manager would be hearing an interaction between a team member and a customer and find it so unacceptable that they would pull that team member to the side and counsel them on that. They would not want that to be repeated. The third level of customer service is where I believe most dental practices are at, and that is anticipated customer service. Anticipated customer service is what we all expect when we are spending money on the meal at the restaurant, on the haircut, on the product, on the service. We feel satisfied, we have the expectation of a friendly interaction and a professional interaction. And when we receive anticipated customer service, it makes us feel like our expectations have been met. And so we're quite satisfied. Anticipated customer service is where you feel, quite happy with everything. And if somebody said to you, do you have a great dentist? You'd say, oh, yeah, mine's okay. Yeah, you should go try mine out. Whereas if you were being delivered basic customer service at your dental practice, you would tend to possibly be looking around for an alternative option. And if you were being delivered unacceptable customer service at the dental practice, of course, you would never return. You would be actively seeking out somewhere else to go to. And so this anticipated customer service, I feel like this is what I observe as a consultant in most of the dental practices that I do come across. But then we're talking about the fourth level of customer service, and this is where things start to get a little bit special. And that is unanticipated customer service. Unanticipated, we're not expecting this high level of service. We were going to be happy with anticipated, but now you're giving me something that I'm beyond my expectations, and now I'm really quite delighted. You are giving me something that I have not anticipated on, and I'm so impressed. Unanticipated customer service. And unanticipated customer service is, we know what that feels like within ourselves, because that is where, because of the experience that we've just had, we actively seek out those Google reviews to give them a great one. We actively ring that business and want to speak to the manager to say, well done, your team member is absolutely spot on and fantastic. We actively go out to our friends and family and say, you have to go see my dentist because they do treat you beautifully. And so it's quite the polar opposite from unacceptable to unanticipated. Unacceptable, we want to take further action to make sure we are holding these people to account for their terrible customer service. And on the other end of the spectrum, we're doing unanticipated customer service. It's making us feel like to seek these people out again, but to tell them how fabulous they are. And so when we receive anticipated customer service, we are not usually left with that feeling, oh, I must give them a great Google review. It's really only when that customer service has tipped into unanticipated and we are surprised at the high level of customer service that we would then seek people out to tell them all about how wonderful this place is. And so the first question to ask yourself after we've moved through this lunch and learn, and I've given you a few examples of what these 4 levels of customer service look like in certain scenarios within dental practices, is to determine where do you think you are. And I do think it's going to be somewhere closer to anticipated. Of course, if it's basic or unacceptable, we've got a lot of work to do. But if it's anticipated and you want to shift into unanticipated, then I can certainly help you out with that as well. And I'm going to be sharing some thoughts around that towards the end of the presentation. Now, a point that I want to raise, because I think it's very important to acknowledge this. I know in myself, most of my career, I had spent delivering basic to anticipated customer service when I was a dental assistant. When I was young and had a bad attitude, it was closer to basic. But then most of my career it was anticipated. When I started working at the practice I had just prior to owning my own practice, that's when I started delivering unanticipated customer service. One of the reasons why I did is because that was embraced at that practice. It was kind of like you need that permission to be able to deliver that higher level of customer service. And certainly when I owned my own practice, I was always delivering unanticipated customer service too. You have your on days and your off days as well. But what I have absolutely noticed, and I'm sure many of you out there who know the difference between these 2 levels of customer service, anticipated and unanticipated, and you've practiced both of them, my level of job satisfaction went through the roof when I was delivering unanticipated customer service. I had more energy generally. I was excited at the end of every working day. I was looking forward to the coming working day when I woke up in the morning. And as I say, job satisfaction, super, super high. And so when we're trying to encourage our team members to do more, expend more effort, more thought into what they do every day within your dental practice, there is a big incentive for them, a very big incentive for them, because once they start to feel that level of job satisfaction, that can be motivation enough to maintain the consistency of that higher level of customer service, the delivery of that. So I think that's an important element to bring into play there. And so the business wins and the team members win, and certainly the patient wins. And so I really do encourage this unanticipated level of customer service in your dental surgery. Now, I want to play you a couple of videos that I found. One of them is a delivery of poor customer service and one is good customer service. Now, the good customer service is what I would say is anticipated customer service. But let me play you these two videos. It will show you quite clearly the difference between the attitude of the person delivering and creating this experience of customer service for the customer.
Hi, I've been trying to get in touch with your office to return these, but nobody seems to be answering the phone.
Have you tried emailing us?
Yes, I have emailed.
Okay, well that's all you can do. You have to email it through and someone will get back to you when they can.
And what would be the time frame that
well,
they're meant to
it's
get
up
back
to them.
you?
That's not in my department. I can't help you. You need to do it online.
So is there someone that you might be able to ask that would be able to assist?
Can't help you. It's all done online within our online team. I don't know what more you want me to do.
Is there, maybe you could ask somebody if they could help with this?
Well, no, because I'm the only one here and I haven't had lunch and I can't leave. So you're just going to have to go back online, wait for someone to call you and go from there. This isn't my area. If you want to buy something, I can help you.
Okay, this is terrible customer service. Is there not a manager or someone that I could talk to?
We do have an online chat room that you can lodge a dispute with, but I don't have anyone here that you can speak with.
Okay, well, I'll need to follow this up with someone then. Thank you for not being helpful.
Okay, great.
Now, here is what they call great customer service.
Thank you so much. That's not a problem. Have a lovely day. Bye. Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm just wondering if I could return this, please. I've bought one for my husband on the weekend and he's already received it. So is there possible that I could get a refund for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Had you lodged something online yet?
I did, but nobody seems to have gotten back to me yet, so I thought I'd just pop into the office.
Okay, sorry about that. Usually our turnaround is 24 hours, but I can definitely help you with that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just look up some of your details here. What was your name?
Cherie Montgomery.
Perfect. I can see you purchased that on the weekend with a credit card. And would you like that refund back onto the credit card?
That would be wonderful.
Wonderful. I can take care of that from here and you'll receive that within 10 business days. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, that's been wonderful. Thank you.
Perfect. Have a great day.
Bye.
So the first one was just terrible, wasn't it? And if you heard a team member acting in that way with a patient, you would certainly be pulling them aside saying, we've got to do some training for you in order to get a better performance and deliver a better result, deliver a stronger experience for our patients. The second example was very acceptable. You'd be happy with the way that person interacted with that complaining patient or that patient that had a issue. But I think we can step it up a level to delivering unanticipated customer service. Let me give you some examples within the dental practice scenario so you can start getting a real strong feeling of what anticipated customer service looks like and what unanticipated customer service looks like. Because I think there are many practices out there thinking that they're really hitting the top bar when it comes to customer service, but I've got a feeling that most of us are all sitting within the anticipated level. And there is nothing wrong with the anticipated level. It's wonderful and it helps build a practice if you can deliver that kind of anticipated customer service consistently and have all of your team members trained up to that level. But if we do want to put some bells and whistles on what we do and start becoming known for the extraordinary experience that we do deliver to our patients and have a whole bunch of raving fans out there telling all their friends and family about us, then unanticipated customer service is a level you may want to aspire to. Let's get some examples happening so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So a very basic thing, answering the telephone. If I was delivering unacceptable customer service, I'm usually annoyed. I'm annoyed by the mere presence that someone is in front of me that I'm going to have to do some kind of work for. So if I was an annoyed employee that had zero interest in the business and zero interest in the patient, then I might just be answering the phone with a hello. Keep in mind, unacceptable is when you're pulling that person to the side and saying that's not good enough. And so just saying hello is not good enough. If we are just trying to scrape by in keeping our job and getting that query managed or that issue managed, then I am not so much annoyed, but I have very little interest in the process and also little interest in the person as well. And so that's where I may be answering the phone. Dental surgery, still not ideal, still very, very basic. Nothing that's going to impress anybody, and likely I'll be delivering underneath what patients are expecting as good customer service. Now I'm going to go into anticipated. So I do have an interest in the patient. I do have an interest in the process. Good morning, dental practice. Julie speaking. How can I help you? Totally fine. It's professional. It's pleasant enough. And I think this is how most of us do answer the phone at our dental surgeries. The tonality does sound a bit flat, and it sounds like I'm on repeat. I say it this way so often, it just rolls off my tongue. So how do we shift from anticipated customer service when answering the phone to unanticipated customer service? And this is where we all of a sudden inject a whole bunch of high interest and a whole bunch of high energy in what we do. We make it sound like we're just not on repeat. We're bringing in the bells and whistles to how we're answering the telephone. Good morning, dental practice. Julie speaking. How can I help you? The tone and the modulation are more excited, more enthusiastic, and it comes through. We're smiling when we answer the phone. We're excited to be able to deal with this patient. And you can see now the difference between anticipated and unanticipated. If you record yourself answering the phones, you are probably delivering anticipated. And what we want to do is inject a bit more enthusiasm and jump into unanticipated. Here's another example. Scheduling an appointment time. If you've got an unacceptable level of customer service that you're rolling out, you are an employee who is annoyed that they have to do any work at all, then that kind of bad attitude does normally bring with it a whole bunch of mistakes. And so because they're not being mindful or concerned about the issue at hand, they're not paying enough attention and they're making mistakes. And so often they make mistakes in the booking the appointment time due to lack of mindfulness and concern. When we're delivering basic customer service, we're just managing to hold on to our job, then we will go ahead and book the correct time. We know enough and we are paying attention enough to get that task done, however simply, but it's done correctly. Anticipated, where I think most practices are at, we book the correct time and we ensure that the patient does understand that time. Have you got it written down? Do you need an appointment card? Do I need to send you through an SMS message so you've got that clear time in your diary? And so that's anticipated. But then if we flip into unanticipated, the receptionist is likely going to book the correct time. On top of that, like the anticipated, we're going to make sure the patient has an appointment card or an SMS message with the time on it. But then with the unanticipated, we're also clarifying with the patient what's actually going to be done on that day. Whether they need to do any prep for it. Are you sure you've got your antibiotic cover? Bring your splint along. The filling may interrupt how that splint is fitting into your mouth. We want to make sure the patient's very clear on the cost of that appointment time as well and how long they're going to be there for and if there's anything else that we can help you out with. And so with the unanticipated, we're giving a whole bunch more information and we're doing it very happily with that high level of interest and high level of energy in the way that we're delivering that information. How about a patient complaint? What is the response of an employee who delivers unacceptable customer service? And it's much like the video that we saw before. That's not my job. It's not my fault. You must have misunderstood us. We don't offer that here. So it's just putting a big brick wall up in front of this patient who's got the complaint saying, it's really not my issue. I don't care about it. I'm not going to look further into it. Your complaint is really your problem to deal with. And so that's unacceptable. If you heard an employee manage your patient this way who had a complaint, you would pull them aside and say, that's not how we manage things here. If we're going to go up to that second level of customer service, so basic, but really no interest in the patient itself, they are likely going to handball it. Okay, stop talking. I'm going to get the manager, or I'll get the practice manager to call you back. And so again, we've taken on the issue to a certain degree, but we are going to be handballing it straight into somebody else because we really don't have any interest in the patient themselves, and we're communicating that quite clearly to them. Anticipated, what most of us do, I will speak to the manager about what has happened and get back to you. And so the patient's quite satisfied with that. They've heard my complaint. They're going to do something about it. But then we go into unanticipated customer service with this patient complaint. What does that look like? I'm so sorry that you have had this concern. Let's go to the side there. We'll sit down and talk so I can listen to what has happened and we can find a solution for you. Is that okay with you? So we've got high level care, high level empathy, high level interest in the patient and their concern, and high energy in terms of our approach to this scenario. So that's what a patient complaint looks like. What about a patient inquiry? You know, they're ringing up saying, how much do you charge for Invisalign, for example? Unacceptable? I don't know. That's it. I don't know. I'm not going to find out. You are lost trying to talk to me about this. I'm not going to be able to help you. Basic? They will answer the query. Oh, it costs, I don't know, $7,000. But they don't ask anything further into why that patient's actually making the inquiry in the first place and not offering anything more. They just answer the query, $7,000. End of story. Anticipated, what most of us actually do, we answer the query and then ask, is there anything else that I can help you with? Unanticipated, they answer the query in a conversational manner so that there is a back and forth with the patient. For example, Invisalign, is it for yourself or for a child? Have you been wanting to straighten your teeth for a little while? I can absolutely help you out with a quotation for that. They may draw diagrams, use display model, offer brochures, etc. Whatever is needed so that patient gains a complete understanding of not just the quotation, but the other information that they need that's going to support them in a decision-making process for themselves. And so that's what unanticipated looks like. Let's move into the clinical surgery and have a quick look about what goes on there in terms of our 4 levels of different customer service. What about when we're taking a patient through to the surgery? I've certainly seen this. I've done this myself when I was back in my early 20s and I was being a pain in the butt for the people that I was working for. I feel sorry for them. The dental assistant's going to bring the patient through. They come down, stand at the entrance of the waiting room, call out, "We're ready for you now," and then bolt up the hallway, not waiting for that patient to follow them. And the patient's like, "I don't know what room to go to. Where'd she go? Where'd she go?" Jumping up to basic, again, the dental assistants come down, stand, and has stood at the entrance of the waiting room, but this time she's going to use the patient's name. "Are you Bill? Come through." And they do wait for them to escort them through to the surgery. But there's nothing really terribly friendly about the interaction. Anticipated, what most of us actually do, they come not just to the entrance of the waiting room, but into the waiting room itself to approach Bill. "Bill, you can come through now. How are you?" And then we politely talk to the patient as we're moving them through to the surgery. That's lovely. It's friendly, professional, lovely. But then we're going to go into unanticipated customer service. And this is where the dental assistant's coming into the waiting room itself. "Bill, how delightful to see you. Come on through. Tell me, how was your Christmas?" And it's just got that higher level of interest, that higher level of energy in our interaction with Bill. Administration of local anaesthetic, something that's unacceptable. Fail to announce what is happening, that we're about to deliver the local anaesthetic. It's too fast, so the injection is painful, and even though the patient's jumping around a little bit from the discomfort, there's no real concern for the patient. That gets ignored. If a patient has that kind of experience on and on again, they will likely want to go and see someone else to have a more positive experience. Basic level of customer service, that we do announce the local anaesthetic is coming, but again, there's no real concern for the patient. And if they seem uncomfortable, we're not really responding to any of those cues. Anticipated, what most of us do, we announce the local anaesthetic is coming, we administer it gently. And the dental assistant is there comforting the patient while they are having that local anaesthetic. That's what is normally happening. If we want to tip into unanticipated, maybe we make sure that we have one of those wands instead of the standard local anaesthetic, that we're bringing in new technology or new processes, new techniques to make sure that it is the most comfortable injection that patient's ever going to receive. We are speaking softly to the patient. "Just give me the local anaesthetic now," and I'll just count back from 10, And we'll be finished up. 9, 8, 7. The dental assistant's got the hand on the shoulder. Everything's fine. We're speaking softly. We're being lovely and hypnotic through the process to make sure the patient's given every possibility to have a comfortable experience with that injection. Last couple of examples. Treatment explanation to the patient. Unacceptable. You need a crown. Just book in for one when you're ready. Yeah, we're not all that concerned whether the patient goes ahead and books this appointment time or not. Shifting into basic. You need a crown. Here's a brochure explaining what it is. Reception can book you in. Again, we're just getting over the line of making sure that patient understands what's going on, but we're not fully there. Anticipated, what most of us do, you actually have 3 options to solve that dental condition that we've identified. We can do a permanent option, this semi-permanent option, or you've also got the option of actually doing nothing. Here are the benefits and drawbacks of each of those options and the prices as well. Let's go ahead and book you in for the one that you choose. Unanticipated, so lots of interest, lots of energy. This is your condition and treatment options to resolve it. Let's sit down together. I want to show you some diagrams. I'm going to show you a display model, show you a video. So we're going to be using all of these aids to make sure that patient truly understands what's going on. Do you have any questions? We've got all the time in the world to answer all of your questions. Here is a printed quotation, includes payment plan options for you as well. And we're going to pop it all together in this beautiful document folder. So if you can't make a decision right now, if you need a little bit longer time to be able to discuss it with family or to have other considerations yourself, go home, look through everything. You call us anytime. We're here for you. And so that's what the unanticipated customer service looks like, where the patient leaves going, I truly understand everything that's going on here. What about when a patient requires more time for treatments because they're very, very anxious? This certainly happens in dental surgeries. An unacceptable level of customer service when managing this is you are not letting us do our work. We can't do the treatment and we send the patient away. Unless you're going to be behaving properly, we can't go forward with the treatment. We go into basic customer service. We try to push the patient through the appointment time regardless of the fact that they're going through the anxiety. So even though we know they're anxious, it's going to just take me half an hour to do this filling on a standard patient. I'm still going to stick to that half an hour even though this patient is anxious, and we're just going to have to stick to time. Anticipated, what most of us do, we lengthen that appointment time a little bit so we can help that patient with their anxiety. So we take a little bit more care with those particular patients. But if we wanted to tip into unanticipated, listen, Sally, we know that you are anxious and we are here to help. This is what we're going to do. And maybe you talk about if they're on the extreme end that you've got medications you can help them out with. Maybe you also say, when we're doing treatment on you, we're going to lower the lights down a little bit so you can come back into a bit of a meditative state. We're going to talk you into a bit of a meditation. Maybe we're going to do some hypnotherapy as well, because all our team members have moved through a hypnotherapy course and we know how to do that to help people just like you experience the dental practice in a far more calm way. And so that's unanticipated. And so I hope I have effectively communicated to you what the difference, not so much with unacceptable and basic, because I don't think they're really present in most dental practices. I want to really get your minds around what is anticipated customer service and what is unanticipated customer service, because I think it's very possible to bridge that gap. And when you start offering unanticipated customer service, you will start growing far more organically, far more quickly than not. And maintaining that standard will see you being a very, very successful dental practice. So let's have a look at how we can get there. How can we shift from anticipated customer service delivery to delivering unanticipated customer service? Number one, you can bring in a trainer, someone like myself, someone like Amina from Dental Management Expertise. So we can bring in a trainer and get them to train us in higher levels of customer service and the systems that we need to implement to maintain that as a consistent delivery of service to all of our patients, whether they're coming on a Monday or a Friday, whether they come in at 9 or 5, when they're seeing Sally or John. We're all maintaining this high level of customer service. So bringing in a trainer is the first step that I suggest to you. The second step is, why don't you do a bit of do-it-yourself team training? And this is how you can go ahead and do that. Number one, make it a group project. We respond as human beings far more favorably if we are coming up with solutions, coming up with the new directive as a group, that we're playing our role in that, as opposed to the boss coming up with the new way of doing something and telling us this is the new way we're doing things now. There's a bit of resistance because we never came up with any of these ideas ourselves. So if you want your whole team to start shifting behaviours and actions, I strongly encourage you to involve them in developing the path forward. So make it a group project. Include the whole team in the goal identification and the process of how to get to that goal. So step number one, what is the goal? Using the framework displayed previously over the past few slides, decide as a group what unanticipated customer service looks like with different common scenarios in your practice. And so have a group meeting, identify 5 things, 5 interactions with patients that happen every day, many times every day. Usually it's how we welcome a patient into the practice, but how we take a patient through to the surgery, how we administer the services in the surgery, how we process the payment at the end of the appointment time. So pick something that happens time and time again and involves various members of the team. Role play out what you currently do now, and then role play out it with bells and whistles on it, with a higher level of interest, with a higher level of energy, and start to really see the difference between anticipated and unanticipated customer service. It's the unanticipated role playing that's the goal. That's what we're aiming towards. And when you're doing a role play, it's just so very powerful, because the person playing the role of the patient will feel inside them a difference between the anticipated and the unanticipated, between the anticipated and unanticipated customer service. And whether you are playing a role or just observing the role play, everyone's picking up valuable information to take with them over the coming days, weeks, months, years of rolling out the unanticipated customer service. And so agree upon as a group, what is our goal? What does success look like for us? Step number 2, the role play scenario. Encourage creative thought and application through role playing a handful of scenarios. This is where we're all contributing to using our imaginations around how can we make things better? How can we put the bells and whistles on what we do? How can we increase the level of interest, increase the level of energy that we bring to all of our interactions, do more than what they expect? What are all those things? Let's role play them out and all learn together. For a bit of inspiration on ideas of role play scenarios, why don't you try welcoming a patient into the practice, like I said before, answering the telephone, addressing running late, like if the practice itself is running late, we need to notify the patient about that. How do we normally do it? What's the anticipated level of customer service? Now, how can we do it? Delivering unanticipated customer service, escorting the patient from the waiting room to the surgery, the patient handover to reception, processing payment and making the next appointment time, managing new caller inquiries, etc., and on and on. Step 3, select a focus for the coming week. It's very difficult to say we're going to now roll out unanticipated customer service from tomorrow on. And people are like, oh, and they'll just kind of fall back into default patterns. We need to be really clear and specific and concentrate on one area at a time. So select one interaction and focus on it for the coming week. This week, we are just focusing on how we take a patient from the waiting room into the surgery. Next week, we're just focusing on how we answer the telephone. And then once you've got your focus for each week, remind your team daily of what the focus is. We need that kind of level of support to keep that thing important in our brains, that we are tackling this again today. If you've got a morning huddle, that is the most ideal way of providing that reminder. If you don't have morning huddles, pop it in the reception or miscellaneous column within your appointment book, or have a sign in your staff room that reminds us this is our focus on this week. Then practice the unanticipated service that you've done in the role plays already on actual patients for the week. Roll it out. Do it as many times as you can. Move to a new focus each week. And if you do have your morning huddles, and even if you don't, the feedback element's really important. Let's check in with each other. How's everyone going with the focus this week? Have you been doing it? How's it made you feel? What have you learned? Share your experience with everybody else, and that will also help make sure that everyone eventually is rolling out this unanticipated, or trying it out, the unanticipated customer service with as many patients as they can for that week. And then it's through the doing that it becomes part of what we do moving forward into the future. So we're going to role play it out so we know exactly what we're doing. We're going to then be practicing it in our week of focus, and it then starts to become the way we do things. Different focus every week. And that is how I suggest, if you're going to be doing a do-it-yourself training, that is exactly what I'd be doing if I came into your practice and trained your team in it. That's the process I'd be taking. And so I do suggest that moving forward. So like many things in life, it's a 50-50 deal here. We are expecting the team members to do things a little bit differently. However, that's just 50% of the task. 50% rests on the shoulders of the team members to bring in a positive attitude and a willingness to do things differently. But 50% of the deal as well is the employer, the manager, the owner, the other team members, to create the environment where people are going to be successful with this. So how are we going to support our team developing in this fashion? 50% of the responsibility lies on the employee team member shoulders. Bring with you a great attitude and be willing to do things differently, try different things out, and be on that journey of improvement. But 50% of it is up to the managers, the owners of the practice, to create the environment where everyone's going to be really successful moving down this path. One of the things you can do as a practice to support your team members in this development of unanticipated customer service is to daily maintain a sense of importance over the focus weeks by having reminders in the morning huddle. And if you, as I say, if you don't have the morning huddle, have a different way of reminding everybody. Number 2, acknowledge team members' shifting behaviour. So when you see them do the new thing, jump all over them. That was great. I saw you did it. Thank you so much for giving it a try. Even if they don't achieve great success with it, they gave it a try. So acknowledge the wins. Lead by example. Others will not take this very seriously if the managers and owners of the organisation aren't putting it into practice themselves. So lead by example. You guys do it first and allow everyone to see you taking this very seriously and enjoying the progress. Maintain that flow of feedback. How's everyone going with this? How can we learn off each other and give each other feedback around this? And so do what you can as a practice to create the environment for success to occur. How are we going to measure success with this? How are we going to know if what we're doing is actually working? And number 1, it's going to come from the team feedback. Yeah, our patients seem to be far happier. Yeah, I feel like I've got a deeper sense of satisfaction in my job as well. So yeah, this feels good. We're all getting good feedback from patients and we're getting good feedback from each other. Another step to measure your success is conduct patient surveys. Actually hear from the patients themselves how they're feeling. Get them to grade you on a linear graph, for example, of their, between 1 and 10, how delighted are you with our service? And so get the feedback directly from patients. Also, a mystery shopper can be super helpful. This is the one that I would really strongly urge you to do. Get a mystery shopper to come in. It doesn't matter if your team members know there's a mystery shopper coming in at some point or if it's a big secret. It doesn't really matter either way. And go to the Lunch and Learn that focuses on a mystery shopper so you can actually understand the reasoning behind that and how to go ahead and do the mystery shopper process. I've got a questionnaire for them to fill in within that Lunch and Learn. There's a link to that particular episode within this presentation. But if you get a mystery shopper to come in now before you make any changes and then allow your team 3 months to get some really good traction going and get that same mystery shopper to come in again and get their feedback, that is going to tell you how far you've come. So I hope I have inspired you to have a look at where you sit right now in terms of the level of customer service that you are delivering to your patients and be inquisitive. How can we be doing things that step higher, that in a more elevated way, and truly delighting our patients, giving them something that they are not expecting. They didn't know it was out there. And I come to you guys, and man, I'm coming to you guys forever, because I'm not going to get this level of customer service anywhere else. I can get anticipated anywhere I choose, but unanticipated, this is the place for me. I look forward to speaking to you at the next Lunch and Learn, and good luck if you are going to be doing some do-it-yourself training around unanticipated customer service. I wish you the very best. As always, contact me anytime if you need a bit of guidance and assistance. Speak to you next time.